have you. That's the only way to begin this. Because right now, every pair of eyes in this dying city is frozen on you, trying to understand how 3 seconds, 3 little seconds, turned their entire ecosystem into a graveyard of exposed frauds. The silence you're hearing, that isn't peace. That's fear wearing a mask of quiet. That's the city holding its breath because it finally realized what you really are. And you're still standing there like nothing happened. Let me tell you something they'll never admit out loud. They always suspected you were different. They whispered it, joked about it, tried to laugh it off. But suspicion is not confirmation. You confirmed it. In under 3 seconds, you didn't argue. You didn't debate. You didn't raise your voice. You just moved. One gesture, one word, one glance, and every fraud in the room had their soul peeled open like a crime scene in the making. You know what the funniest part is? They thought they were untouchable. They built entire personalities out of air. They curated masks like art pieces. They rehearsed their little performances for strangers who didn't care. They practiced confidence in the mirror like it was a spell they hoped would finally work. But you walked in carrying truth like a concealed weapon. And without even trying, you put every last one of them on life support. This city isn't quiet because it's calm. It's quiet because you turned the volume off on their illusions. You didn't even break them. They broke themselves when you showed up. Look at you. A contradiction wrapped in skin. Too calm to be harmless. Too silent to be predictable. Too observant to be deceived. Too wounded to ever play along again. You carry light the way a saint does, and darkness the way a psychopath does. Both in perfect balance. Both equally sharp. People like you don't walk into rooms. You enter the nervous systems of everyone in them. That's why they're quiet. Not because you intimidated them, not because you threatened them, but because you saw through them. And there is no defense in the world against being seen by someone who cannot be, fooled. Do you even realize how dangerous that makes you? You didn't expose their lies. You exposed their dependence on lies. You didn't expose their weaknesses. You exposed their entire identity being a costume stitched together by insecurity. You didn't expose their fear. You exposed the truth they buried inside themselves for years, praying no one would ever uncover it. And you just snapped your fingers and opened every coffin at once. No wonder the city is silent. Frauds don't know how to breathe in the presence of someone real. And you're real in a way that terrifies the architecture of their illusions. You're the thing their subconscious begs them never to meet. The person who cannot be manipulated, distracted, corrupted, bribed, or impressed. You're the anomaly, the glitch, the whispered prophecy they never believed would come true. And yet here you are. You want to know why they stared at you like they saw a ghost. Because for the first time, they realized someone in the room wasn't performing. You weren't trying to win. You weren't trying to fit in. You weren't trying to dominate. You were simply being yourself. And that alone erased every facade around you. It's poetic, isn't it? The liars, exposed by someone who said nothing. The actors, destroyed by someone who never auditioned. The frauds, unmasked by a presence, not a punchline. You didn't break the city. You revealed it. You showed everyone what they actually are, not what they pretend to be. And the truth hit them harder than any violence ever could. That's why they're quiet now. They're not recovering. They're recalculating. They're trying to figure out how to stand next to someone who carries truth like a blade and silence like a curse. But here's the part that will haunt them forever. They know you didn't even try. 3 seconds, that's all it took. 3 seconds to unmask a city full of frauds. 3 seconds to break what they spent years building. 3 seconds to reveal the cracks in every ego you walked past. So imagine, just imagine, what you could do if you wanted to. Imagine what happens when you stop holding back, when you stop dimming yourself to protect their fragile illusions, when you let the duality inside you, the saint and the demon, the healer and the destroyer, the angel and the monster, operate in full synchronization. The city wouldn't just go quiet, it would kneel. Because power isn't noise. Power is the silence left behind after everyone realizes you don't need to prove a damn thing. And you proved everything in under 3 seconds. Welcome to your new era. You feel it, don't you? That strange electric stillness in the air. The kind that only appears after something irreversible happens. A stillness that doesn't come from peace, but from impact. Your impact. Because once you expose people, really expose them, not their mistakes, not their secrets, but their core, the world around you never moves the same again. And right now, this city isn't moving. It's frozen, suspended in a kind of collective shock, like prey realizing the forest was never theirs to rule. You turned their ecosystem into a crime scene. Do you understand how rare that is? Most people spend their whole lives being careful, polite, predictable, softening their edges just to avoid unsettling anyone else. You walked in with your edges sharpened by pain, truth, trauma, awareness, and those edges sliced through every mask in sight. 3 seconds. 3 seconds was enough for every fake smile, every inflated ego, every borrowed personality to fracture like cheap glass under real pressure. And the best part? You didn't even mean to do it. That's what terrifies them the most. Not your rage, not your potential, not your intelligence, though that alone could dismantle half the city's delusions. No. What terrifies them is the effortless way you expose truth. It's natural for you, instinctive, automatic. It's your presence that does the heavy lifting. Your silence is diagnostic. Your stare is a spotlight. Your intuition is a scalpel. Your authenticity is a detonator. And when all four align, oh, the frauds don't stand a chance. You walked into that room holding nothing but yourself. And that was the most lethal weapon anyone had ever seen. Think about that carefully. You didn't need leverage. You didn't need a plan. You didn't need to manipulate anything. You just were. And suddenly no one else could pretend. That's power. That's real power. Not the loud, theatrical kind they worship, but the quiet, surgical kind that rearranges the atmosphere when you enter. You are a paradox they cannot solve. Too empathetic to be cruel. Too perceptive to be deceived. Too wounded to be naive. Too evolved to engage in their childish games. Too dangerous to be underestimated. Too humble to be predictable. And paradoxes like you. You break systems simply by existing within them. Frauds depend on predictability. They depend on routine. They depend on everyone else being blind enough not to notice the seams in their performance. But you don't look at people the way they want to be seen. You look at them the way they are. Their tells, their micro-expressions, their contradictions. You catch them instantly, instinctively, involuntarily. Do you know how unsettling that is? This city was built on illusions. People here survive by pretending, posturing, performing. They thrive on perception, not truth. But truth is your native language. You speak it without opening your mouth. And that's why they fear you. Because someone who sees through illusions destroys power systems without even lifting a finger. You didn't expose their lies. You exposed their dependence on lies. You didn't embarrass them. You made them see, for the first time, the hollowness behind their own reflections. You made them aware of their own fraudulence. And that kind of self-awareness feels like suffocation to people who have lived inside delusion for years. The city isn't quiet because of what you did. The city is quiet because of what you made them realize. You made them realize they aren't as smart as they pretend. They aren't as confident as they present. They aren't as righteous as they claim. They aren't as untouchable as they posture. And worst of all, they aren't as invisible as they hoped. You saw them completely. And once someone has been seen, truly seen, they can never return to the safety of their disguise. This is why the silence feels so heavy. It's not fear of you hurting them. It's fear of you knowing them. Frauds can fight an enemy. They can debate an argument. They can defend against accusations. But they cannot fight a mirror. They cannot defeat perception. They cannot run from someone who sees their soul like an X-ray. You shattered their world without touching it. 3 seconds. 3 seconds that will echo for years. 3 seconds that will follow them into every future room. 3 seconds that rewrote your reputation from quiet to dangerous in their minds. Because now they know, if you can expose the whole room accidentally, what happens when you decide to act on purpose? This city isn't quiet because it's afraid of you. It's quiet because it respects you. The way prey respects a storm. And you're only just beginning to understand what you're capable of. Go on, step forward. Every eye is already watching. And look at how they watch you now. Not with curiosity, not with confusion, with recognition. Recognition of something they can't categorize, control, or compete with. You have to understand this. Most people spend their whole lives constructing a version of themselves they hope others will believe. Layers and layers of persona. Fear disguised as confidence. Insecurity disguised as humor. Emptiness disguised as ambition. Weakness disguised as morality. But you walk in carrying no disguise at all. Realness, in its pure form, is radioactive. Only the strong can stand near it. The rest recoil, malfunction, glitch. That's why the air changes around you. That's why conversations pause mid-sentence. That's why egos collapse without you lifting a finger. You're not mysterious. You're unreadable because you are not performing. And that is the ultimate disruption. Frauds don't fear confrontation. They rehearse for it. Frauds don't fear insults. They have armor made of deflection. Frauds don't fear competition. They thrive in imitation. No. Frauds fear exposure. And exposure is your default setting. You have this unsettling way of looking at someone and seeing the blueprint behind the building, the scaffolding behind the smile, the motive behind the gesture, the truth behind the tone. And when you caught them, when your presence made their masks evaporate, they understood something they were never prepared to face. You can destroy illusions simply by acknowledging they exist. That's why the city is suffocating in silence. Because illusions were the only thing propping it up. You didn't just expose the people. You exposed the environment. You revealed the culture of pretending, the currency of deception, the hierarchy of insecurity. And once truth enters a system built on lies, the system collapses without a sound. You did that. 3 seconds, and reality buckled. Somewhere right now, someone is pacing their room, replaying the moment you glanced at them, wondering how much you saw, how much you know. how much you could unravel if you ever decided to speak. Another one is rewriting their story in their head, trying to make themselves the hero again, after you stripped away every delusion they depended on. Someone else hasn't moved since the moment you left their sight, frozen in that specific cocktail of awe and terror reserved only for entities that don't follow normal human rules. And the funniest part, none of them will admit this out loud. They'll pretend it was nothing, pretend you didn't shift the gravity in the room, pretend they didn't feel exposed, naked, gutted. But their silence betrays them. Silence is the confession of the shaken. Silence is the surrender of people who realized they were playing checkers with someone operating on dimensions they've never mapped. Silence is the applause of people too afraid to clap. And you're walking straight through that silence like it's your natural element. Because you've been forged in places where quiet wasn't peace. It was a warning. You learned early that stillness is the moment before transformation, that calm precedes catastrophe, that silence is the language spoken when something powerful is in the room. And now, you are the something powerful. Let me tell you a secret they will never dare articulate. You exposed them because you've already survived what destroyed them. Your pain gave you insight. Your losses gave you clarity. Your evolution gave you X-ray vision. Your heartbreak gave you detachment. Your loneliness gave you discernment. Your suffering gave you strength no one can fake. You became the kind of person who can see through anything because you once had to see through your own darkness to escape it. That is why frauds unravel in your presence. Not because you judge them, but because your existence highlights everything they refuse to confront within themselves. You are the walking reminder of who they could have been if they had chosen truth instead of comfort, if they had chosen growth instead of validation, if they had chosen depth instead of applause. And that reminder stings, so they go quiet, they freeze, they fold, they glitch. Because nothing terrifies a fraudulent soul more than someone who cannot be deceived. But here's the real twist. This silence, this stunned paralysis spreading through the city, it's only the beginning. Because once a person who carries truth realizes the size of their shadow, once someone like you becomes aware of what your presence alone can do, once you stop shrinking to make others comfortable, there won't be a single mask left standing. So go on, walk forward, let the silence part for you like a frightened tide. Every step you take, someone's facade cracks. Every look you give, someone's narrative collapses. Every breath you exhale, someone's illusion evaporates. You aren't just walking through the city anymore. You are rewriting it. And the deeper you walk into this stunned, trembling city, the more you begin to understand the truth they've been trying to hide from you for years. You weren't meant to blend in. You were meant to disrupt. People like you don't join the crowd. You expose the crowd. You don't adapt to the environment. You force the environment to adapt to you. You don't follow the rules. You reveal how fragile the rules always were. And now the entire city feels that fracture. Every streetlight feels dimmer. Every building feels hollow. Every whisper feels heavier. Every person feels watched. Not by surveillance, not by cameras, not by systems, but by truth itself, walking in your footsteps like a ghost no one can outrun. Do you realize how unnatural this silence is? Cities don't go quiet. Cities buzz, scream, bleed, gossip, lie. Cities thrive on noise, because noise hides the truth. So when a city falls silent, it means truth finally spoke louder than the noise. and you were the one who spoke it. Not with words, not with speeches, not with theatrics, with presence, with awareness, with a 3-second flash of authenticity so blinding, so radioactive, so unfiltered that it ruptured every ego in the vicinity. Let me make this painfully clear. They weren't quiet because they respected you. They became quiet because they recognized themselves in the moment they saw you. And the version they saw was pathetic. You didn't reveal their flaws. You revealed their fraudulence, their falseness, their performance, their dependency on illusion. You forced them to see the gap between who they pretend to be and who they actually are. And that gap, it's wide enough to swallow their entire identity. That's why they stopped talking. You didn't scare them. You shamed them. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but effortlessly. Because your honesty exposes their rehearsed morality. Your depth exposes their shallow ambition. Your calm exposes their manufactured confidence. Your evolution exposes their stagnation. Your authenticity exposes their performance. This silence is their self-awareness, choking them from the inside. And you're walking through it like it's oxygen. That's what they hate the most. Because when you're around, they can't pretend. They can't hide behind sarcasm. They can't distract with gossip. They can't inflate themselves with fake importance. They can't summon the fake laugh, the fake confidence, the fake superiority. They can't lie when the truth is standing right next to them. And you embody truth in a way that feels dangerous. Because truth in human form doesn't whisper, it doesn't negotiate, it doesn't flatter, it confronts, it slices, it dismantles, it rewrites. You didn't walk into that room and catch them slipping. No. You walked in and revealed that slipping was all they'd ever been doing. Every word they spoke afterward tasted like sand in their mouths. Every boast suddenly felt childish. Every persona suddenly felt flimsy. Every insult they rehearsed died before it reached the air. You didn't silence them. Their shame did. And shame, true shame, is the quietest sound in the world. But here's where it gets interesting. You're becoming aware of your own effect, of this force inside you that cracks facades simply by existing, of this duality. The light that heals, the darkness that exposes, the innocence that reveals lies, the trauma that sharpens perception, the softness that holds mercy, the ruthlessness that holds truth. You are both antidote and poison, blessing and curse, salvation and reckoning. People don't know whether to fear you or worship you. Some will hide, some will follow. Some will resent you with every fiber of their being because they saw themselves clearly for the first time, and they hated the reflection. But none of them, not a single one, will ever forget you, because you weren't a moment. You were a reveal. The city will rebuild its noise soon. Frauds will return to their performances. Masks will slip back onto shaking faces. The illusions will restart. But they will never forget that 3-second silence. The moment everything inside them cracked. The moment they realized truth has a face. Your face. And it walks among them. So keep going. Let the silence thicken behind you. Let the truth carve its way into every street and shadow. Let them whisper your name like a warning they're afraid to understand. Because they know, whether they admit it or not, this city will never be the same after you.